Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and we're here with our first standard deck tech with Journey into Nyx in the mix. Today we've got a sweet white, black, green, or junk midrange deck to look at. If I ever stopped playing blue, this might be the strategy I'd lean towards, not even kidding. This particular junk midrange deck is very much 3-color good stuff. The strategy is to play quality creatures and answer anything your opponent plays. As you'll see, individual card quality is reminiscent of the Jund midrange decks from pre-Theros Standard. Granted, this deck isn't as dominant right now, but it could be very soon. Let's get the insanely complicated mana base out of the way. There are only 3 basic lands in the deck, 2 forests and 1 swamp. Beyond that, we have 4 Temple of Plenty, 4 Temple of Silence, and 3 Temple of Malady to finally replace the Golgari Guildgates everyone was running until last week. Then we have 4 Overgrown Tomb, 3 Temple Garden, 3 Godless Shrine, and 1 Mana Confluence. This 25 land mana base is complicated and awesome. As a control player, I feel at home with as few basic lands as possible. How wrong is that? Moving right along to creatures, there are no 1-drops. Who needs those guys? In the 2-drop slot, we have a playset of Sylvan Caryatid and 3 Scavenging Ooze. The Caryatids give you mana acceleration where you otherwise wouldn't have it. This green deck is unique in that it runs no Elvish Mystics or any other 1-drop mana creature. If you want ramp on a creature, this is the only one in the deck. Scavenging Ooze is good, that's why it's in the deck. The removal life gain effect is insanely powerful in any strategy. The Ooze shines in particular in aggressive matchups where he gets too big to deal with and gains you so much life it doesn't matter. His utility cannot be understated. In the 3-drop slot, we have a playset of Courser of Kruphix, a cornerstone of the strategy. Quickly becoming a standard all-star, this card provides so much value. It helps you get through your deck faster to make relevant draws. It synergizes really well with Underworld Connections and Archangel of Thune, which we'll talk about in a bit. Courser is too high quality not to include in this deck, plus in a way, the strategy's kind of built around it. The only other creature at 3 mana is a single Lifebane Zombie. Even though the format's new, there's nothing wrong with trying to catch some people out. Plus, it's only 1 slot, so if it bricks, you can just board it out after game 1. It still makes a fine main deck card due to its sheer power. Against the mirror, it's kind of a hoser. We skip the 4 mana slot entirely and move right to 5, starting with 2 Archangel of Thune. If this creature lands against anything even remotely aggressive and they don't have an answer right away, the game's just over. Archangel synergizes with half of this deck, and triggering her ability will not be difficult. Even without that, dealing 4 damage to a creature can be annoying. I'm not saying it's impossible to remove the Archangel, it's just really annoying. This deck runs black and white, which means 2 Blood Barons or auto-includes. I can't say enough about how good this card is. Dodges almost any removal without the words Amizium and Mortars in its name. Can fight almost any creature in Standard right now. The only real way to deal with this thing out of combat is Supreme Verdict, or I guess Rapid Hybridization. Listen, my point is that this guy is hard to kill, okay? Last creature in the deck is one of Obzedat Ghost Counsel. It's a great way to keep your life total high while beating down your opponent. Naturally, this also plays nice with the Archangel we mentioned before. This is pretty great against aggressive strategies, assuming you can get it online before you're dead. Plus, a 5/5 black creature at instant speed is never something anyone wants to deal with. The card is just a very immediate threat against a lot of matchups. One of the MVPs of this strategy are the 2 Ajani Mentor of Heroes. This Journey into Nyx Planeswalker has already made huge waves in Standard. Some might call him the real Master of Waves. Anyways, Ajani is a powerhouse in this strategy. His middle ability is pure card advantage in a deck that is 1/3 creatures and Planeswalkers. Not only is it powerful by itself, but in conjunction with the Courser's deck to land ability, the synergy is really strong. Being able to dig through your deck faster is a huge deal, especially when you're running one of creatures that you want to make sure you see. This, Courser, Underworld Connections, it's all just one big attractive ball of card advantage. I should also note the deck runs 1 Elspeth, Sun's Champion, as a 3rd Planeswalker. She is expensive and usually gets played in a pure control strategy, but she makes sense here. Her soldier production synergizes well with Ajani's counter-granting ability. She's also quite good at stalling. If there's something a card advantage based deck loves, it's stalling for the late game. All that's left are the spells, 15 of them to be exact. We start with 2 Banishing Light, another amazing card from Journey into Nyx. This is what you play when you're not playing blue and don't have Detention Sphere. It's that simple. This answers pretty much everything in the format without pro-white or hexproof. Turns off gods and planeswalkers. It's just a quality removal spell in a format filled with threats. Not surprised to see it played here. Next up is a pair of Underworld Connections. The synergy between this card and Courser of Kruphix is disturbingly high. The rate at which you can go through your deck if you get this combo online is ridiculous. Not only that, but the rest of the life gain in your deck, taking a hit each turn doesn't sound all that bad. Finally making a comeback, we have 3 Abrupt Decay. I've been saying it for a while, but this card had to make a resurgence. The ability's too strong not to play. The format is filled with low mana cost creatures and auras. This helps stall against aggressive creature-based strategies. It kills Pack Rat, which should be enough on its own, but it also deals with opposing Coursers, Oozes, and Nightveil Specters. The list goes on and on. Now that Temple of Malady is out and black-green is a thing again, you can expect to see this card everywhere. Probably my favorite card in this deck, Advent of Wurm, is a 4 of, and while it says instant, it pretty much means creature with flash. Much like Abrupt Decay, Advent was really powerful but didn't fit in anywhere. Yeah, no longer the case. 4 mana for a 5/5 trampling Wurm at instant speed is something to be afraid of. You can flash it into block, flash it into dodge Thoughtseize, taking it, flash it in to make the mono red player you're facing poo themselves. It's just so good. The last 4 cards in the deck are Heroes' Downfalls. Nothing wrong with the premier removal spell, right? No, seriously, there's nothing wrong with it. It's cheap, it kills walkers, it kills Stormbreath Dragon. This is basically an auto-include at this point, let's be real. Junk Midrange is a strategy that can act in a couple different ways depending on the matchup. If you're against something extremely aggressive like Burn or any creature-based aggro deck, the first thing you want to do is board in Golgari Charm and probably Obzedat, hoping you can get there. Unlike most decks that would become a control strategy against Burn, you don't have that kind of depth in your spell package, so you need to be aggressive. Advent of the Wurm and Scavenging Ooze are all-stars in this matchup and will carry you to victory. This is why Golgari Charm is so good. If you're against Burn specifically, you can side in Sin Collectors as they pretty much hose the entire strategy. Just remember, you need to get stuff on the board against those aggressive decks. You don't have enough removal to control them out of the game, trust me. When you come up against control strategies, mainly blue-white, you need to prioritize sticking your win conditions. By this I mean you need to keep Blood Baron alive. Supreme Verdict is one of the only good ways to deal with him. Golgari Charm is once again amazing. You can side out your Caryatids and Lifebane Zombies to fit a couple in. It's a good move. Other than that, you'll want more Obzedat and Underworld Connections. This is a matchup about card advantage and consistent board presence. You need the attrition of Obzedat and the card generation of Connections to accomplish this. Since Mono Black Devotion is still a thing, let's talk about that. Sin Collector is pretty amazing here. He takes their removal, which you're definitely susceptible to. Bioblight is pretty cheeky for Pack Rat. Thoughtseize is worth thinking about to deal with their Grey Merchants and Desecration Demons. You could run Erebos out of the sideboard as well. There are a ton of options here. Play around and see what does best. Personally, big fan of Sin Collector. He just has a lot of applications across a bunch of matchups. Use that guy. What do you guys think about Junk Midrange? The deck is pretty cool. Easily one of the most fun non-blue decks I've seen in a while, and that's saying a lot. Again, I really love blue. Anyways, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, post them below and we'll talk about it. I got your back. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.